Hi guys, welcome to the channel of love. Beam me up, Scotty. Look, these lights have already moved the spotlight, so oh, there they are. Okay, how did they just come into the picture? Were they there before? I don't know. I just noticed the spotlights. I haven't just Lucy. Yeah, well, I didn't realise they were. Oh, I think I was sitting forward like this, was I? It's really bizarre, isn't it? Look at them. Anyway, I thought I'd come on with a kind of oracle reading. We're still going to stay away from the tarot, but should we have a look at the law of attraction? I think we can have a look at the law of attraction cards and see what's in hand. The universal law of attraction defined. Okay, card number 2. Let's read it. The law of attraction says the essence of that which is like unto itself is drawn. The essence of that which is like unto itself is drawn, and while this may seem like a rather simple statement, it defines the most powerful law in the universe, the law that affects all things at all times, for nothing exists that is unaffected by this powerful law. Okay. So the essence of that which is like unto itself is drawn. Like attracts like. Okay, we'll go to this one. I'm being taken to like all these nice lilac colours here. I am a magnet, attracting unto myself. Okay, we're choosing that word unto. Okay, the essence of that which is like unto itself is drawn. I'm a magnet. You are what? A magnet, attracting unto me myself. Card number 4. Without exception, what you give thought to, wanted or unwanted, you begin to invite into your experience. See yourself as a magnet, attracting unto you the essence of whatever you are thinking and feeling. For example, if you feel poor, you cannot attract prosperity. It defies the law. Very interesting. Now, interesting enough, it's a number 2 and it's a number 4. 24th, today's date. Happy 24th of July. I don't want to read any more of them. Where are we going now? I'm not sure. Well, let's have a look at your well-being. Be well. All is well. Okay, let's give these a shuffle. I just noticed that card there is on the back. What else do these say? Oh my, I cannot read that. I believe that says I attract the essence of my thoughts. Oh, you got no chance me reading the others. Okay. Well-being cards. We are all working toward the same goal. Joy. Joy to the world. Oh, a song I was singing this morning was Love's got the world in motion. I was like, has it now? Love's got our world in motion, guys. Whether it seems like it or not, you are all working towards the same ultimate goal of joy. You are just approaching things in different ways, and all of it is working. Okay. Now that takes me to the Beachball. I have kind of recorded that reading. I want to record it again. Don't ask me why. It's like I read it once and I did read it out loud, but I want to read it out loud again because it makes more sense to me once I've read it the once. Okay. We are all working towards the same goal, joy. It just brings me in with this part here. You are just approaching things in different ways and all of it is working. Okay. Well, maybe we can read that at the end of this. We'll see. It takes me about 35 minutes to read it. I can maybe pause and then go and get the book and then come back and then attach that video to this one. And then you won't even realise I was missing. I wasn't missing anyway. Okay, right. Well, I want to go to the Oracle of Shadows and Light and see if they can shed some light on this situation. Whatever I give attention to, wanted or unwanted, I am creating. I think they're really like trying to instill the message of the law of attraction. Okay, what are the laws of attracting? Very, I don't know, the energy is a little bit indecisive. Undecisive? Indecisive. Lady with a Bosch egg. So ancient wisdom. Now, I shared Socrates earlier on the channel of Love Training Academy. I suggest you give that a listen to. It speaks a lot about, you have to go and not find the answers yourself, but no one can really give you the answers, okay? And no one can do it for you. You have to, it's all about going within. And all the knowledge that you need is within you. Let's look at this, card number 31. It's on for about an hour. It's very good. I've listened to the Plato one as well. Okay. I just have Aristotle to go. Very distracted energy. About the lady. Let's read about the lady. The lady with the Bosch egg is the one in this lifetime who has been chosen to keep safe and sometimes keep secret deep esoteric knowledge. Throughout history's most troubled times, there have always been courageous beings ensuring that sacred knowledge was kept alive. Even though the world may burn and disasters befall humanity and wars take down cities, there will always be those brave souls who will take the knowledge, represented by the Bosch egg, camouflage it, and keep it safe so that at a later time, when the world is finally ready, we can all learn. Love's got the world in motion. The lady speaks. My town is on fire. The night sky is full of screams and smoke, and I have done what I can to safeguard this treasure from the sacred library. I will keep it safe, record its wisdom, and ensure that these truths stay alive for a future time. I hope that you understand the history of the knowledge you crave and respect and acknowledge the freedom of the times you now live in and do the work yourself. It may be that at some point you too will find my egg and that you are the person chosen to speak of the knowledge others thought was lost. Or it may be that you too are a guardian of wisdom. If you are, know when to keep silent, know what to keep to yourself, and know that some secrets come to light at the right time. I bring you now the symbols of the alchemists, the secrets of the Gnostics, and the wisdom of the magicians and the witches and the herbalists, all saved for this time in this strange form of the egg. Divination message. It may feel to you that you are receiving wisdom from ancient sources and that some of its energy may feel unfamiliar to you, even dark. It is likely that you are receiving messages from times when people like you, misfits and mystics, were oppressed and punished for their natural gifts. Explore at this time something to do with the Renaissance or medieval times and understand that the knowledge was brought through to you, a very fortunate being living in very fortunate times. Keep it safe. Learn all that you can. Explore esoteric symbology, the history of magic, and spirituality. Know that while you are safe, you may wish to keep silent about certain practices. Okay. So you most definitely need to listen to that video that I've kind of shared regarding Socrates. Okay, and Plato, I'll share that one as well. I've listened to that one. It so comes in with this, guys. And most definitely about the law of attraction, okay? We've been touching on this topic, well, like, you know the deal by now. I'm getting you some daily guidance from your angels. Daily guidance, please. Yeah, I'm getting it, I'm getting it. Shower of abundance. To heal your financial situation, first give us your worries concerning money. We will guide you in order to show you how to create and accept abundance. As we work together, your financial situation will heal as fast as you'll allow. So we have some financial issues here on the table. Let's have a look. Now, seeing as that statement on the end here says, for example, if you feel poor, you cannot attract prosperity. It defies the law. This card is a sign that your prayers about finances have been heard and answered. The more you can listen to and follow your gut feelings right now, the quicker you'll experience improvements in your financial situation. Very short message. To heal your financial situation, first give us your worries concerning money. We will guide you in order to show you how to create and accept abundance. As we work together, your financial situation will heal as fast as you'll allow. This card is a sign that your prayers about finances have been heard and answered. The more you can listen to and follow your gut feelings right now, the quicker you'll experience improvements in your financial situation. Additional meanings for this card. The coins that you're finding lately are loving signs from your angels and departed loved ones. An unexpected financial windfall is coming to you. Give any financial fears to your angels. Follow any guidance you receive, as it could be an answered prayer about your finances. Abundance can take many forms, including having more time, opportunities, or clear ideas. Very interesting message. Now, I feel like I want to end with a Mother Mary. Love's got the world in motion. I know, Mr. Doggy. There's the card. Shall we see what the Mother Mary wants to say? Our Lady of Great Power, card number 24. Okay, so the 2 and the 4. The colours here, I want to say, well, the third eye, the crown chakra, 24, today's date. Our Lady of Great Power. Feels very much here, you've been given access to spiritual wisdom, and now the abundance is coming in. For the light workers, for the awakened ones, okay, who understand, your abundance is coming in. Okay. Our Lady of Great Power. You best be ready to be ready. And that starts internally, okay. Manifesting your experience. Our Lady of Great Power. My robes from the heavens above. My robes from the heavens above. It says my robes form the heavens above. In my sacred feet the earth spins. In my eyes the stars of the night sky are born and shine. My hair forms galaxies, and in my heart many suns burn with divine love. What is there that could be greater than I? I that am all, I that am love. Any fear, any doubt, any problem or concern, I hold you in my being so vast. There is nothing more powerful than I. I am the love that is all that you are. Fear can loom so large at times that it might seem impossible to conquer. Doubt, despair, grief, and rage may take possession of our being, and all of a sudden there is no way out of the negativity or horror that we may be brave enough to feel. As part of our honest, emotional, human journey, we are asked to feel these challenging emotions. They are part of what helps us rally the courage and strength to make choices that are helpful and healing to our planet whenever we can. If we cannot feel the horror of what is happening around us, we might lack the passion needed to summon all our strength to act, to heal, to help, and to speak out. It takes a truly great leader to be a great warrior for love on this planet. This leader does not give us false hope or imaginings that all the problems that need solving will just magically go away if we close our eyes and hope hard enough. Instead, this leader inspires us with genuine encouragement and empowerment. This leader is honest about our healing light really being needed on this planet. There are environmental and socio-economic problems on this planet that are not all right, and we need to fall apart so that healing can occur for the greater good. Without the honest, conscious acknowledgement that there is great wounding in our world that needs repair, we can be left with an undercurrent of anxiety, a feeling that something is wrong, but it's not being openly acknowledged. Without this acknowledgement, constructive solutions are not being implemented. We must be careful that we don't allow our genuine optimism, which keeps us open and active, to become a source of falsehood. We must not allow it to tell us nothing need happen and everything is fine, when the Divine Mother tells us that this is not true at all. We need to be honest with ourselves and our suffering. We need not fear it, we need to be aware of it, and through that awareness, healing can occur. Yet we also need that leader to inspire us with genuine hope and self-esteem, which helps us feel empowered to be able to make a difference. This will prevent us from collapsing into despair, believing that nothing can change, whether it is our own lives or in the world around us. Our Lady of Great Power comes with a special message from such inspired spiritual leadership, which is the leadership of the Heavenly Mother herself. She tells us that no matter what we may be trying to accomplish upon the earth, she has power to assist us towards success, and that power is beyond any obstacle. No matter whether a personal matter, a social matter, or environmental issue, legal or financial issue, spiritual crisis, or beloved other that needs help, we can pray to her and she will provide us with what is needed. Our job is to act on that with trust, praying, listening, responding, waiting, acting, reflecting. This is how we live with her, in her grace, and in the magnificence of her great power. She asks now that you dispense with any habits or beliefs that it all must be accomplished on your own. She knows that you have struggled to find the support that you have needed at times in your past, and she asks you to put that behind you now. It helped you grow strong and develop self-reliance, but your task is different now. You have that strength and enough self-awareness to know who you are and what has meaning for you. You know to remain true to yourself, even if you are in partnership or collaboration joining forces with others. You are being asked to allow yourself to be helped so that you can become an empowered channel for her grace to reach the world. So pray, be open, and know that she is powerful beyond all measure. Should we do this healing process and affirmation? You are floating but grounded in your body in an open, vast space. It is like floating upon an ocean of the universe. Imagine that you can take any issue, problem, or concern that you have and would like to resolve, and you can drop it into that vast space, like dropping it into a bottomless well. As you do so, ripples of energy flow out from the empty space. You may sense this as subtle movement, as colour or shapes forming, or it may be very subtle. Say the following prayer to anchor the resolution of your situation. Holy Mother, Our Lady of Great Power, you are vaster than any concern, and your loving solutions reach me easily now. I ask for your help in recognising your guidance and the courage to act upon it at the right time and in the right way, through your grace, for the greatest good. So be it. When you are ready, seal your practice with the following affirmation, said aloud or quietly in your mind, repeated 3 times. The power of my Holy Mother is greater than all that is. She provides me with the best way through so that life and love may flourish, now and always. The power of my Holy Mother is greater than all that is. She provides me with the best way through so that life and love may flourish now and always. The power of my Holy Mother is greater than all that is. She provides me with the best way through so that life and love may flourish now and always. The next card is Our Lady who sends angels. Anyway, if you're leaving me here, then thank you for joining me, and I will catch up with you guys soon. Otherwise, if you're staying on, then I'm just going to go off and get my book and we're going to read about the Beachball. Okay, I'll be back, really quickly. Okay, I'm back with my book, SUMO, Shut Up, Move On. Chapter 5 we're on. Remember the Beachball. The first 3 SUMO principles have focused on increasing our personal self-awareness. They could be put under the heading, Understanding Yourself. This 4th SUMO success principle moves us from our own inner world and helps us to explore the world of others. In my experience, your ability to achieve better results in life comes through helping other people to do the same. Whether your needs are emotional, psychological, or practical, the chances of them being fulfilled increase when you help others meet their needs. So how can we achieve this? In order for this to happen, we need to develop a greater understanding and awareness of the people we deal with in our day-to-day lives. We need to get inside the heads of the people we meet in order to see the world from their viewpoint. To explain this further, let me share with you a simple, memorable, and powerful illustration. What is the Beachball? Imagine you are in a large room packed with over 100 people. In the centre of the room is a large multicoloured beach ball, and when I say large, I mean huge. So big, in fact, that it stands at over 30 feet tall and touches the ceiling. Because of its size, the people are squeezed back to the edges of the room. Now here is the interesting part. When you ask people from one side of the room the colour of the beach ball, they reply red, white and blue. Yet the people on the opposite side of the room claim to see 3 different colours, orange, green and yellow. Despite looking at the same beach ball, the perspective they are looking from influences the colours they see. Most people will not say, well, from my perspective, the beach ball is red, white and blue, but I realise it might be different from yours. No, people tend to believe that what they see is reality. Thanks to the influence of the great philosophers Aristotle, Socrates and Plato, Our educational system in the West has conditioned us to think in logical, either or concrete terms. Things are either right or wrong. If from where you are standing the beach ball is orange, green, and yellow, it cannot also be red, white, and blue. To continue the colour theme further, we have a tendency to think in black or white or in right or wrong terms. It seems safe. When we don't, we can be labelled as indecisive. Being open to alternative viewpoints may be seen as a sign of weakness on our part. People generally are not comfortable with grey areas. It is a place of uncertainty. It is not how we have been taught to see the world. Winning an argument by proving the other person wrong is seen as a virtue. Education is a place where we ask, did you get the answers right? As opposed to, what did you learn? Such a system of thinking is helpful in some areas such as mathematics, physics, or engineering. Whatever side of the beach ball you are on, the answer to 3 plus 3 is 6. However, when it comes to understanding people and how they see the world, we need to adopt a more flexible way of thinking. You may be familiar with a phrase, there are always two sides to a story. Actually, there may be more, and each one may be valid. In trying to appreciate how people develop their way of thinking, it is helpful to explore what influences how we each see the beach ball. What influences how we and others see the beach ball? There are numerous factors that influence our perspectives. These include our age, values, personality, gender, background, culture, beliefs, and many more. For the purpose of this section, let's explore 4 of them. Our age influences how we see the beach ball. I grew up in the 1960s. When I was young, the term a Big Mac meant a large overcoat you wore when it was raining. My children still look rather bemused when they ask for a Big Mac, and I reply, why is it raining? The phrase going all the way, when I was growing up, meant staying on the bus until it got to the terminus. I understand it has different connotations these days. And I can still remember black and white television, having a choice of only 3 channels and actually having to physically move off my chair if I wanted to change station. Boy, we had it tough in those days, but at least we kept fit. Age influences our perspective on life. The introduction of new technology in the workplace may be viewed very differently by someone who has been using computers since they were a toddler, compared with the individual who never even used a calculator at school. I'm not suggesting people of a certain age group cannot adapt to technology, but for some people, it has been much more a part of their lives than for others. A job for life would have been the expectancy for many people prior to the 1980s. Now I meet people in their late 20s who nonchalantly talk about being made redundant for the second time in their career. And if you have teenagers in your household, think of their challenges as they come to terms with hormonal changes, discovering their sexuality, and being caught somewhere between childhood and adulthood. With age comes experience, and invariably, the older you are, the more experience you have. How you see and respond to a situation could be very different from a person who, because of their age, has not had an opportunity to acquire the same amount of experience. Points to ponder. How does your age influence your views, attitudes, and perspectives on life? Think about the ages of those with whom you have close relationships. May this be one reason why you have different perspectives on life. SUMO wisdom. If you want to win friends and influence people, start by first trying to understand them. Our values influence how we see the beach ball. Let me explain this from a personal perspective. The personal stuff. My friend Eddie loves his car. It's a Porsche. Not a new one, but one he completely adores and treats almost as though it were his child. Cars do not hold the same appeal for me. I drive a Mazda. It's comfortable, has a few nice gadgets, and gets me from A to B. If I find a scratch on my car, I'm not exactly delighted, but I will soon get over it. Depending on the size of the scratch, on a scale of 1 to 10, it will probably do well to register a 2. Now, if that happened to Eddie's car, you will be well advised to keep out of his company and not invade his period of mourning for about 4 months. What Eddie and I value is different, and that influences how we see the beach ball. I like gardening. If one of my lupins becomes infested by greenfly, I set about the task of eliminating those vile creatures with military precision. They are the enemy. They must be destroyed. Eddie would not bother. We can assume that everyone shares the same values as us. The reality is they probably don't. We live and interact with people who may share some of our values, but rarely all of them. My work colleague Kate believes if you are not 5 minutes early for a meeting, then you are late. Other people tend to have a more laid-back approach to timekeeping, much to Kate's annoyance. One person's reaction to someone being late could be, "So what's the big deal?" Kate may choose to respond a little more assertively. Our values give us what we believe to be the right way to see the world. It naturally follows, in that case, that some people... Okay, let me just repeat this. Our values give us what we believe to be the right way to see the world. It naturally follows, in that case, that people who see things differently from us must have a wrong view. It is this mindset that thinks my way is right and yours is wrong that hinders our ability to develop successful relationships. It also explains why people with similar values may be very different in terms of personality, yet develop successful, long-term, meaningful relationships with each other. SUMO wisdom. Never assume that other people value the same things as you. If you want to develop better relationships, find out what is important to the other person. Points to ponder. Think of a situation where you don't see eye to eye with another person. Is this due to a clash of values? Are you prepared to make any compromises? Are they? If not, you may simply have to accept the limitations of your relationship. Our personality influences how we see the beach ball. Again, let me share with you a personal perspective. The personal stuff. I have 2 children. One is loud, outgoing, and generally likes to be centre of attention. She takes after her mother. Whilst the other quietly goes about his business, prefers staying in the background, and is quite comfortable with silence. 2 very different personalities, but neither being right or wrong. These differences, however, mean they do not see and respond to situations in the same way. A journey in the car for one of my children is an opportunity to sing and tell stories, whilst for the other it is a chance to be still and reflect on the scenery. Can you relate to any of this? There are many models for understanding different personality types. The most popular one being devised by Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, 1875 to 1961. His aim was to help people understand themselves and others more fully, and explain why people perceive and respond to the world differently. Let me give a simple overview of one way of thinking about the 4 personality types. Remember, no one fits solely into one type. We are a blend of all 4. However, like a cake recipe, some flavours are more noticeable than others. Let me also stress this is not intended to be an in-depth look at your personality. I include it purely as some food for thought. The cheerleader. An extrovert who gains energy from being around others. They have a tendency to wear their emotions on their sleeve. Cheerleaders thrive on praise and recognition. They can also be impulsive and spontaneous in their opinions and actions, i.e., They often act without thinking and jump quickly to conclusions. Cheerleaders tend not to be the most naturally organised and structured of people and often attempt a number of tasks at once, starting a new one before finishing the previous one. The main driver for a cheerleader: get noticed, get appreciated. Likely to say, well, if you're looking for someone to interview for the company magazine, look no further. Unlikely to say, I've started so I'll finish, or here's a detailed report I prepared earlier. How cheerleaders see the beach ball. They often see the positive side of the situation and may fail to consider a more cautious perspective. Their viewpoint may fluctuate depending on how they are feeling emotionally. The carer, generally a sociable person who values people contact. Okay, generally a sociable person who values people contact, although less extrovert than a cheerleader. They prefer to be in the background as opposed to the centre of attention and are comfortable listening to others as opposed to talking. On less important issues, they will allow others to take the initiative. Observing two carers deciding where to go for lunch is a fascinating experience, is a fascinating exercise. They are likely to have a more easygoing approach to life than some people and will do their best to avoid conflict and confrontation. Carers may struggle to say no to people's requests, preferring to say yes rather than run the risk of causing offence. They tend to be more of a follower than a leader. The main driver for a carer: get along with others. They're likely to say, right, before we start the meeting, how was your weekend? Unlikely to say, okay everyone, I'm in charge here, now listen up, I have a plan. How carers see the beach ball. Their perspective is influenced by how the situation affects their relationships. How they feel about an issue can be more important than the facts themselves. The commander. An extrovert like the cheerleader, but who is more focused on getting things done, with less concern for people. They typically adore to-do lists and love the feeling of achievement when they are able to cross things off their list. Commanders thrive on challenges, but their lack of patience comes to the fore when progress is delayed. They tend to be decisive, goal-orientated people who prefer talking to listening. Commanders are likely to make tough demands of themselves and of others, and they enjoy taking charge of a situation. The main driver for a commander: get things done. Likely to say, well, that's another 2 hours wasted. Just exactly how long does it take to give birth these days? Unlikely to say, I would be really interested to hear what other people think, and how a commander sees the beach ball. Could see exploring other people's perspectives as a waste of time, as it delays the need to take action. Focuses on ideas that achieve quick wins. The thinker, more of an introvert who gains their energy through reflection and having time to themselves, as opposed to being around people. Like the carer, they prefer to listen rather than talk and are more comfortable analysing data than dealing with people. Thinkers are more likely to take a deliberate, structured, analytical approach to a task and are less distracted by feelings and emotions when assessing a situation. They tend to be cautious in nature and often require copious amounts of detail before making a decision. Thinkers also enjoy giving comprehensive, detailed answers to questions of a technical nature, whether the other person requires it or not. Planning and organisational skills come naturally to a thinker. Being the centre of attention does not. Main driver for a thinker: get this task right. Likely to say, can you let me think about that and I'll have a detailed report with you inside the next 3 months. Unlikely to say, I've just had a crazy idea. How about we organise a staff Christmas pantomime and I can be the lead role? How thinkers see the beach ball. May have a tendency to see problems rather than possibilities and focus on what could go wrong as opposed to why it might work, could spend so long analysing the beach ball that they fail to make any decision. Okay, review the 4 personality types. No one is exclusively one type, and there will be elements of all 4 that you can relate to. However, if someone was to push you into a corner and force you to decide which 2 you identified with most, which would they be? You might not always behave that way, but which style are you most comfortable with? Points to ponder. What type of personality do you find it most difficult to relate to? Why do you think that is? Think of some positive characteristics of having that type of personality. The phrase, "I can't think of any," is not acceptable. Think of a relationship that matters to you and consider how your different personality types might help or hinder the way you approach life and tackle problems. The personal stuff. I guess the personality types I relate to most are the commander and the cheerleader. My wife Helen is more of a carer and thinker. This provides quite a balance when it comes to making decisions, but it can also be a source of frustration for both of us. Whether it is to do with personality or gender, I am not sure, but I am always amazed by Helen's behaviour on the telephone. No matter how much of a rush we are in, she insists on asking people how they and their family are before getting to the main purpose of her call. Meanwhile, I am thrusting my watch in her face and reminding her that she has already spoken to this person twice today. However, her cautious approach and unwillingness to rush into a decision has saved us money. Being the spontaneous get it done person that I am, I was quite happy to go along with the first quote we received to have a new kitchen fitted. I liked the guy who came round to measure up and was impressed with his designs. As the quote was within our budget and he could start straight away, I was happy to make a decision for the work to commence. My wife insisted that we get 3 more quotes. To me, this was an unnecessary delay and a complete waste of time. We went with the final quote. It was better value, i.e. cheaper, and a more innovative design. My thinker wife had just saved us £500. It was an invaluable lesson for me and a reminder that how I see and respond to an event is not always the best way. Our current state of mind influences how we see the beach ball. Imagine you have just gained promotion at work. You are delighted. You feel good about yourself. Then on the way home you are involved in a minor car accident. The damage is minimal and no one is hurt. You view the incident as a minor inconvenience and nothing more. But what if you hadn't got the promotion? What if you had just been dumped by your partner? How would you respond to the minor accident now? Or if you are stuck in faulty thinking and your inner critic is bellowing in your ear, how receptive are you to the constructive criticism your boss wants to give you? Perhaps you are in hippo time and you receive some unwelcome news. How will you respond now? Or maybe you have just got back from the slimming club and won Slimmer of the Week for losing the most weight. When you return home, one of your children asks to borrow the car. What is your likely answer? Would it be the same answer if you had put on weight? Our view of situations can fluctuate greatly depending on how we are feeling at that particular time. Remember that when you're next communicating to someone or listening to their story. SUMO wisdom. Your feelings influence your perceptions. How are you feeling today? Points to ponder. If you decide to tackle an issue with someone, consider how they might be currently feeling. And what about your current emotional state? Are you in the best frame of mind to tackle this? Choose your time carefully. The personal stuff. This next example illustrates the consequences of not seeing someone else's perspective and also why it is necessary to let people know how you see things. I had bought 2 tickets to see a football international to be played at Anfield, the home of Liverpool FC. There was only one problem. The game clashed with Helen's birthday, and I knew she wasn't a keen fan of football. Having expressed sympathy for such an unfortunate coincidence, I then promptly invited my next door neighbour to join me at the game. Helen, although disappointed, seemed to appreciate this was a one-off occurrence and took a night in with the children on her birthday in her stride. When I was at the match, I suddenly had a thought. I wonder if Helen would have liked to have been here. I quickly dismissed such a notion and reasoned with myself. If she had wanted to come, she would surely have asked. Meanwhile, back at home, Helen, I learned later, was thinking the following. I wouldn't have minded going to the game tonight, but Paul would have invited me if he wanted me to come. It was a cracking match. When I returned, the kids were in bed and Helen was doing the ironing. Only then did we share our own perspective on the night's events. Our conversation went something like this. Paul, if I'd known you wanted to come, of course, I would have invited you. Helen, then why didn't you ask me? Paul, well, you don't like football. Helen, so? Paul, well, I thought you would have said something if you were that keen to go. Helen, I shouldn't have to, you should know. Paul, know what exactly? Helen, that it would have been nice to be asked. Paul, look, I'm really sorry. Can we have an early night and forget all about it? Helen, no. We both assumed that the other person understood our view of the beach ball. I believed if Helen wanted to go to the game, she would have asked me, and Helen believed if I wanted her to go, I would have invited her. We now recognise that not only do we need to take time out to see the other person's perspective, we also need to take responsibility to communicate how we are seeing things. How to recognise when you're only seeing your side of the beach ball. It is easy to spot when this is occurring. Simply notice the language you start to use. Take a look at the list of phrases and tick whether it's one you've said or thought in the last few months. Why can't you see it my way? Have you tried to see it their way? I don't understand my kids. They never listen to a word I say. How can you understand someone when you are doing all the talking? Why can't you be responsible? Why can't you be reasonable? Presumably you have decided what reasonable means, i.e. to see and respond to the world the way you do. What planet are you on? Well, maybe it is time to enter their space and find out. That music is awful. You have no taste. In truth, we all have taste. It's just that not everyone shares yours. They can be so boring. You mean they don't meet your criteria of what interesting and exciting is like? There is only one way to handle this problem. In fact, there could be a number of alternatives, but you are going with the first one that comes to mind. Get the picture? Actually, we probably don't get the full picture unless we are prepared to remove our blinkers. Most of us, including myself, need reminding of how many different ways the world can be viewed and the factors that influence people's perspective. But does appreciating others' viewpoints mean I have to agree with them? Understanding does not mean agreeing. Discovering someone's perspective and understanding the reasons for their views does not necessarily mean we agree and embrace them ourselves. You will meet some very sincere people who hold very strong opinions on life. We may believe them to be sincerely wrong. However, if you want to persuade them at least to consider another viewpoint, but begin with the attitude, I am right, you are wrong, it will do little to encourage meaningful dialogue. When you begin with the attitude, let me first try to understand why you think and behave the way you do, you're more likely to encourage an open and honest discussion. When you feel people have listened to you and tried to understand you, then you are more likely to listen to them. People are less defensive when you seek to understand their viewpoint rather than try to dismantle it. That's your SUMO wisdom. Having looked at why people see the beach ball differently, let's look at how we can go about understanding another person's viewpoint. How to move forward. If you have not done so already, identify a relationship that you know needs to improve. Perhaps you have failed to see the other person's side of the beach ball up until now, or you have failed to communicate how things look from your perspective. A willingness to shut up, the old approach, and move on to a different strategy may now be required. Here are some practical ideas on how to help the process. The relevance of some of the ideas will depend on the context of the conversation. Firstly, do not attempt to have a conversation when both of you are angry. You will both be in primitive brain and discussion is likely to become an argument. At least one of you needs to be in rational brain. Work hard at actively listening and indicate to the other person through your body language that you are. Make some eye contact, avoid distractions such as a computer or the television being on, and give this person your full attention. Their perception of whether or not you are listening is crucial. Don't interrupt the other person and take over the conversation. Allow them to vent. Don't finish off the other person's sentences. This can give the impression you are rushing them, and sometimes you get it wrong. Work hard at trying to understand their perspective. Put aside preconceived ideas of what you think their view is. As you listen, look for what you can agree with rather than focus on what divides you. When they have finished speaking, the first question to ask is there anything else you would like to add? This prevents you from jumping in immediately with your perspective. It also provides the other person with an opportunity to summarise their points and perhaps re-emphasise an issue that is important to them. Before moving on to share your perspective, ask questions to gain clarification. E.g., when you said ... can you explain that a little more? Or can you give me an example of that, please? This is not done to make the other person defensive, but in order genuinely to understand their view. It is now your turn to share how you see things. Ensure the behaviour you have modelled is followed by the other person. This might require you having to be assertive if they start to interrupt you or do not allow you to finish. Helpful phrases to use. The following phrases may prove helpful in your conversation. However, use language and terminology you are comfortable with. These are just some examples. Help me understand your perspective on this. Can we explore some options on how best to deal with this situation? I would be really interested to know what you think. I'm conscious I'm only seeing things from my perspective. What would your view be? Maybe I've been a bit inflexible in my approach up until now. And when you need to communicate your perspective, can I shed some light on how I see things? Let me fill you in on how things look from my perspective. I'd value you giving me some time to share my take on things. I'd value you giving me some time to share my take on things. I appreciate you might not be aware of all the facts from my viewpoint, so let me elaborate. These ideas and phrases are intended to help the process. They will not guarantee a successful outcome, but they do increase the chances. Points to ponder. Sometimes it is completely acceptable and appropriate to stand your ground, but not always. How are your stubbornness and unwillingness to be flexible helping the situation? How is insisting that you are right helping to move things forward? Which phrases might you consider using? Is the other person aware of your perspective? The personal stuff. Angela, a friend of mine, has not spoken to her mother for 2 years. The reason for this silence is all to do with her mother, or so Angela believes. Angela believes she is in the right and her mother is in the wrong. Therefore, why should she have to make the first move towards some kind of reconciliation with her mum? Angela has two small children who do not know their grandmother. I'm just going to check on the pussycat because she's been trying to bring a bird in for the last couple of hours. So I'm just going to see if she still has the birdie in her mouth. If she does, she's not coming in. Hey, let me have a look. Have you got the birdie? Have you? Have you got the birdie there? Come. Okay, sit down. No birdie. She brought me a present home. Move things forward by challenging the golden rule. You may have come across a concept called the golden rule. Many people believe it to be the best advice you can have on how to build successful relationships. Personally, I'm not so sure. Here's why. The golden rule states the following. Treat people as you would want to be treated. This seems a fairly noble view, and it's true regarding the ethics and morality of our behaviour. However, in terms of communication style and personality preferences, it's not always helpful. Does an introverted, middle-aged thinker who has recently got married and moved to the countryside want to be treated in the same way as a young, recently divorced cheerleader who has just started work in the city? The SUMO rule is this. Not everyone wants to be treated in the same way as you do. Treat people as they want to be treated. Most people do want to be dealt with fairly, honestly, and with respect. But after that, it is up to us to find out what works best for them. When you do, you are better equipped to achieve a more favourable outcome. So challenge conventional wisdom and be prepared to bring a new perspective to things. Consider a relationship where a beachball conversation would be helpful and reflect on the following questions. Number 1. Reflect for a moment on what factors are influencing this person's view of the beach ball. How old is this person? Could that be influencing how they're seeing the world? What do you believe is important to them, and what do they value? Consider the 4 personality types: cheerleader, carer, commander, thinker. Which combination would they be? How would you say this person is feeling at the moment? Are they in hippo time? Perhaps they're struggling with faulty thinking. Maybe they're feeling great. In one sentence, describe their current state of mind. Number 2, in what ways have you tried to understand their perspective and see their side of the beach ball? Number 3, have you clearly communicated your perspective? Remember using the phrase, I shouldn't have to, they should know. Is you failing to take responsibility? It could be argued you are playing the role of the victim with such an approach. Number 4, if there was one single action you could take to help influence and improve the relationship, what would it be? Your response to the event can influence the outcome. The joy of a new perspective. It's awesome. We are all working towards the same goal, joy. Life can become quite interesting when you look at things from a new angle. I came across this piece recently. I hope you enjoy it. It is entitled The George Carlin Theory. The most unfair thing about life is the way it ends. I mean, life is tough. It takes up a lot of your time, and what do you get at the end of it? Death. I mean, what's that? A bonus? I think the life cycle is all backwards. You should die first, get it out of the way. Then you move on. Then you move to an old people's home. You get kicked out when you're too young and get a gold watch, and then you go to work. You work for 40 years until you're young enough to enjoy your retirement. You have fun, party plenty, then you get ready for senior school. Then you go to junior school, you become a kid. You play and you have no responsibilities. You become a little baby. You go back into the womb, spend your last 9 months floating, and you finish off as an orgasm. In a nutshell, the ability to succeed in life is inextricably linked to our ability to deal with people. To know how best to deal with others, we need to start with trying to understand them. When we appreciate how and why people view the world differently and respond appropriately to that, we're able to connect and engage with them at a completely new level. SUMO summary. A brilliant life comes through better relationships. In order to meet your needs, help others to achieve theirs. Two opposing views does not necessarily mean one has to be wrong. Remember the Beachball. Shut up believing your perspective is the only one, and move on to seeing how the world looks through someone else's eyes. 4 factors that influence how we see things are our age, our values, our personality, our current state of mind. Understanding someone's viewpoint does not necessarily mean you agree with it. When people feel you are trying to understand them, they are more likely to try to understand you. Shut up waiting for the other person to take the initiative. Move on to being a peacemaker. And that is the end of chapter 5, guys. Next chapter, learn Latin. Carpe diem. Okay, guys, we're going to leave it there for today. Have yourself a fantastic evening and or day, whatever time of day it is. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I will catch up with you guys soon. Until then, take care. Much love. Bye for now.